Why are there so few women in parkour, freerunning, ardu displacement, and basically every other similar movement practice? For the past few days, I and Kriti from Vanarshala have been trying to find an answer to this question. Kriti is one of the few female parkour practitioners in India, a parkour coach by profession, the winner of the 2019 speedrun by Chaos Factory in Bangalore, and the co-founder of Vanarshala, a Delhi-based organization involved in movement practice and training. And I'll let Kriti introduce me.
Kaden is one among several certified parkour coaches in India. He and his team Wincats Parkour have been coaching parkour for the past few years. Parkour in India is growing rapidly. We now have full-fledged indoor and outdoor parkour parks and gyms, athletes with years of experience in practice, an increasing number of skilled and certified coaches, a constantly growing online base, and national-level competitions.
And despite all these ups, the difference in the number of male and female parkour athletes is sizably large. And the bigger mystery is, this is not just applicable to India. According to a study by Alice Popejoy, female athletes amount for only 13% of the total freerunners in the US, while males 86%.
And we are wondering if the number in India would be much lower while there is no organized study for this yet. And even this number is thanks to the fact that this question has already been asked a ton of times across the world. Things have improved considerably as people have taken several steps in this direction from wherever they are and however they can. It is worth noting that this percentage has gone up to 13% from about 2% 10 years ago.
Why this disparity? Through different methods like reading, observation, conversation, we found that there is no one answer to this question. But it is certainly an interesting situation to understand.
I get this question so many times, and I feel like every time I feel like a little bit overwhelmed because I think people expect me to know the answer because I am one of those few girls who do parkour, but that doesn't mean that I know why there's so few. And
in this video, we will not really talk about problems like conservative parents or family restrictions, since they are some of the more obvious reasons. We would like to instead talk about nuances that usually go unnoticed or stay under-addressed. To simplify it, let's break down this problem at 3 levels. Level 1. Before joining the movement. A sort of a deep-seated insecurity or self-doubt, something that has been imbibed by an individual. Society shows that physical tasks are made for men. Moreover, it goes to also show that physical tasks are not made for women. Women should refrain from them. It's considered chivalrous for men to show up whenever something physically challenging is happening and offer to help out. So what happens is that over years, a woman starts doubting herself. It becomes reality that, I can't do that thing. Or you don't even know whether you can do it or not. In a parkour video, we usually expect awesome cinematography, the preparation, people trying and failing an attempt, and leaps that seem humanly impossible. Along with this, something more that the word parkour is generally associated with is fit young men scaling buildings or leaping through the air, which definitely showcases the physical and mental excellence that can be acquired by training this sport. But we must know that this is just a part of the way this discipline can be practiced or how its demography across the world actually is. Showing only this one side creates an image of parkour as a masculine and dangerous sport, which it is not. Parkour, in fact, is one of the more inclusive, liberating movement practices among all others, with huge potential to be grasped by people of all capabilities, ages, context, interest levels, and requirements, because it has no rules. Really, only some techniques like landing, vaulting, rolling, climbing, etc., and some guidelines like moving with efficiency, creativity, control, and moving better than you moved yesterday.
And this leads us to our next problem. Stereotypes. What comes to your mind when we tell you to imagine a nurse? Did you picture something like this or this? Most of us would have pictured this. Even the males and females are known to be equally fit for the job. Yet our social conditioning is such that we expect females to take up jobs like teaching, babysitting, nursing. And when it comes to more physical tasks like firefighting or mechanics, we expect males. The same with sports. We do expect something like this when we hear the word freerunner. So most girls are unable to see themselves as freerunners and few are able to join parkour as a sport. Level 2. The joining. Okay, this is something which may affect both guys and girls.
करें क्योंकि नहीं तो बहुत ऐसे लोगों के माइंड में अभी भी है कि पार्कोर में मतलब चोट लगाना है, ये जंप्स उनसे लगता है कि हम सीधा 10 फीट से ही जंप करने वाले हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि अब क्या होता है कि जितने भी लोग हैं अपने परफॉर्मर हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं अपने वीडियो एडिटिंग करते हैं और वो अपना बेस्ट एडिट करते हैं, बट उसके जो बैकग्राउंड वर्क है, जो ड्रिल्स हैं, जो मूवमेंट है, जो होल्डिंग है, जो बैलेंसिंग है, उसको कभी हम एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे नहीं दिखाते। तो इसकी वजह से लोगों को लगता है कि ये बहुत इंजर्ड और हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा।
My family, they didn't support me. They didn't think this is going to be like a sport I'm going to do for many years. And for other people, it might be a social barrier. They think, for girls especially, I don't want to be the only woman. Sometimes women feel a lot better when they are surrounded by women, or when there's like another woman who can help you, you can ask all the time. You don't need to feel embarrassed about any questions or something.
If you happen to type parkour or free running on YouTube, this is what you get to see. Although this is parkour, but sometimes we fail to see that this is parkour too. And this is too. And this. Okay, not this. The point here is, we as practitioners of this discipline are portraying only one side of parkour, because of which common people are afraid to even try it. Which leads us to another problem, the parental approach. And here we are not talking about the classic issue of parents restricting their girls. Let's understand this problem with the help of an incident that happened with us. Two kids, a girl and a boy, joined our academy. Both were around 8 to 10 years of age. The girl's parents were really happy that their daughter was learning something and was physically active. But the boy's parents constantly wanted him to learn and get stronger, and asked us to challenge him. This made me think, why do we raise our children differently? One major driving factor why women take less risks could be the way we raise them to take less risks. We focus on qualities like caring, nurturing, kindness when we raise our girls, while we raise our boys to be strong and competitive. So the few girls who happen to join parkour may tend to take lesser risks and more often than not find it really demotivating, as they are not conditioned to deal with such situations physically or mentally.
So the boys would be doing these prees together. One boy does it and then he's like, oh, I didn't get it. Second boy does it, oh, I didn't get it. Third boy does it. And it's fun because you're competing and you're like playing like, hey, who did it, and it's cool. But for me, I would be on the other side and be like, if they are doing a pre of this distance, I would be doing of this distance. And for me, it was a workout. Oh, let me try 10 times. If I can't do it, then I'll move on to something else. So it wasn't that I was practicing with another girl, or it's not that, if I didn't get anything, I was like pushed or motivated or...
Another aspect of this level is the background.
Girls and boys train together. I have coached them. I've seen Vanarshala coach them. And there's really no difference in the way they absorb the sport, or the way they get better, or the way they feel when they are competing. Yeah, maybe after puberty hits, the male body grows in a different way than the female body. The male body tends to be more muscular, larger. Obviously the anatomy is naturally different, but there's nothing except that. Just that when we run the same distance, maybe you will be marginally faster than me because of your anatomy than me. But coming from the same coaching, same conditioning, same mental background, there will be literally no difference between us.
As we previously said, that from a very young age, we shelter our girls and we expect our boys and expose them to be strong. And more boys do end up joining sports. The ones who don't do any sports try things like these. Which means that most boys, thanks to being physically active in more ways for longer periods of time, have some form of experience with their own body's movement. Having any form of physical training from a young age is precious, as it helps children develop muscle, balance, coordination, instinct, and creativity, among other important attributes which are key to train for any physical activity. So if boys and girls join parkour, boys are more likely to stay longer with the sport than girls would.
there are actually, I don't really know a lot of women who have been training for that many years as the guys did. The women started quite late with the training, and some of the women started from zero, and some of the women started with basic, like they already had a base, like gymnastics or breakdance or anything else.
Level 3. After joining.
For women to join the parkour session, the training, because you feel like when you see a group full of men and you feel like, oh, okay, I would love to do that, but I don't see any women doing it, so I don't know if I have a chance or if they will accept me doing it. And if you see one or two or even more women, you would be more like, right?
Okay, so this was the toughest part of the script. As a guy, I never knew this existed. During our research, one of the female athletes shared her rock climbing experience, where she said that even though no guy bothered her during the session, the whole vibe there was kind of uncomfortable. She mentioned something called the bro vibe. We may have noticed this in other social groups. The girls generally prefer hanging out in groups where there are other girls. The reason for this is pretty straightforward. As humans, we tend to relate better and develop a comfort zone with people of similar classification. And while this is absolutely normal, we may forget to reach out and include others. In our case, since parkour is currently a largely male-dominated sport, it's quite likely that girls may have similar experiences at jams and classes.
So at DMC, like, it was an all men's jam pretty much. Even though we had invited different teams, that was the intention. It ended up being about 32 of us, where 31 were men and I was the only woman. Again, because I am used to being there, having my team with me makes me feel like family. I didn't feel like I was the only woman there. I was pretty comfortable. And most of the boys are pretty awesome. Like, most of the men in the community are open-minded. I was pretty comfortable. But there was my experience with Harry and even like maybe Sagar was so notable that Harry at some point noticed me doing some sort of my sort of thing where all the boys were taking off from somewhere and then leaping on this wall like 6 feet, 7 feet away. So I was already a little less because I had just recovered from my knee, but also because that's not the way I really practice. And Harry was around me at the time. I was doing a lazy vault or something, and he said, "Hey Kriti, I think you can easily do this. Why don't you try this?" And he taught me a new move. Even though I was a little apprehensive, I was like, this guy is an athlete, style run champion. It won't be too difficult, but yeah, let's do this. So, and in the entire process, I think Harry, what he did, and this is the takeaway for men, I think he took a pause from his high style, high speed training to come down to my level. And in the process of him coming down, he really helped me lift me up to a level. And not only did I learn more, I think even he learned more. And I told him that my experience with him was great. It would really help him in his coaching. And that really made me feel like I belonged at the jam. Till then, I was just like doing my thing in the corner,
Another problem at this level is being body conscious and clothes conscious.
This is something we may all be aware of, and if you are not, it's time you know it. Yes, most girls are conscious about their clothes and body during their training, and in a discipline which involves such a huge range of movement, it can definitely get uncomfortable for them to have to balance this mental restriction with the need to open up as movement goes hand in hand with freedom. This often discourages athletes to explore even before they try the sport, or they may hesitate to go full out as practitioners, which limits their performance. Though we did find out through our research, and as you would know, that this is largely thanks to a mix of conservative upbringing, societal conditioning, and the unreasonable standards set by the beauty and entertainment industry. The good thing, however, is that most women are positive and hopeful of being able to feel more free if their training environment can be made conducive to this change, and they themselves want to overcome this inhibition. Despite all these obstacles that affect girls the world over, there are athletes like Ellis Bickley. She was 13 when she filmed this video, and in the past few years, female athletes like her are emerging and killing it, which gives us a ray of hope.
Now that we have discussed all these problems, let's see how can we help. Number 1. The very first step is asking the question, why are there fewer female athletes in my team or community? Once you have done that, congratulations, you're one step closer. It's necessary to understand that women need to vault over way more obstacles even before joining parkour, and hence we might need more efforts from the existing athletes to warm up this domain.
The number of girls in parkour is having a role model. I've never thought of doing flip ever in my life, but after watching videos of female athletes, I got motivated. Like in starting, the only thing I wanted to learn is parkour, not free running. But eventually, when I started watching videos and started having a role model, I took interest in free running also. So, female role models plays a very important role in increasing the number of girls in parkour community.
Teams need to be more inclusive of female athletes who already practice with them, and make them feel as an important member and keep them in leading roles if possible. Additionally, there are certain givens like treat every athlete with respect, have appropriate behavior, do not stare at any athlete practicing, reach out to help but refrain from unsolicited advice or making unconfirmed remarks. Meanwhile, we also need to learn to communicate with people and help everyone around be comfortable.
Number 2. As an industry, we need to market parkour as the approachable sport that it is. A wonderful training method for all age groups and people types. In a way that people feel free to join and are not intimidated by it. Currently, we tend to be doing the opposite. The athletes practicing this sport, if we start sharing our training on social media platforms, men and women both, but especially women, let's also share our process, technique work, theories of practice, friendly challenges, training regimes, etc. more regularly to contribute in bringing this change as more women start relating with what they see. By not including enough women, we are excluding nearly 50% of human population. And in most sports, female athletes, when given a chance, perform as good as men. Number 3. Women who want to try it. Take the leap, girls! The current parkour community in India is open-minded. It is inclusive, experimental, encouraging, and many teams are ready to welcome female members. Places and people who teach parkour are more than enough now. So leap over your initial hesitation, go out and experience this training near you. When you start learning, then also don't hesitate to learn new things and reach out for help. You can start by searching it on Google, Facebook, or Instagram.
Or even contact us regarding any queries regarding teams or gyms near you. Contact details in the description.
Number 4. Event and jam organizers. You can pace events fairly to not only hype it up for the mainstream, but keeping women and anyone lesser abled in mind who needs warming up to the sport. You can develop methods and activities that include participants of all levels together. As Vanarshara had also done it with Vanargiri 2020. It was an art and displacement event where athletes of all levels, men, women, kids and the elderly, were able to explore concept-driven training together, and everyone really enjoyed being there. Number 5. Researchers, practitioners and doctors constantly strive to add better and truer knowledge to this ever-growing pool that will eventually benefit each and every one of us humans. As we all know, there are more and more myths floating around each day than there are facts. It is becoming increasingly important to have correct information, to decode myths related to our body and understand why moving better and moving more is more important in this day and age to enjoy life to the fullest. Having said all this, let us try to make this amazing sport more accessible to everyone. We want to end this video by extending a hand out to each and every woman out there who wants to practice or try parkour.
This video is a collective effort of Vanarshara and Windcats, and special thanks to Jump Culture India for supporting us. The social media handles of a few Indian teams are given in the description below, so feel free to reach out to any of them. And as I mentioned earlier, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to guide you as per your context and requirements.
As you can see, this is the collective effort of Kaden and me, a boy and a girl. And if we could all add meaning to this sport by working together, then it would be such an amazing place for all of us. So get out there and keep moving.